Hey, what's going on, everybody? I saw this really cool poster on Pinterest and I thought I would make a video and showing you how it's done. So let's jump into Illustrator. All right, so I have the original poster over here to the right side, and what I need to do first is create the container that everything is going to be fitting inside of. So this container can be any color we want. Right now I'm just going to make it black. And what I want is I want a 1-inch margin around all of my sides. So in order to do that, we need to bring the width and the height in by 2 inches. And that's something to keep in mind for all the design students out there. If you want a 1-inch margin around everything, you need to bring it in by 2 inches because you have 1 inch on all sides. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit copy and paste in front. And it looks like we didn't do anything, but we just copied and pasted this exact same thing right on top of this in the exact same position. So now I'm just going to do Shift and X on my keyboard, and that just swaps the fill and the stroke. So now this shape doesn't have a fill, but it does have a stroke. So let's bring up the stroke by about 30 or so, and I'm going to change the color of the stroke so we can actually see it. And now again, I want 1 inch margin around everything. So I'm going to bring it in by 2 inches. So this yellow stroke eventually will be cut out of this shape along with all the other elements that we have. All right, so anybody out there watching this, you probably know that I'm a huge music fan, and the Sundays is one of my favorite bands, so I'm going to make this into a Sundays song poster. All right, so what I need to do with this G now is to create outlines, and that's going to change it from being an editable piece of text to now it's just a piece of art. So I'm going to move this G to be right there perfectly intersected with that stroke, and then I'm just going to move it down by, we'll say, 2 inches. And I think the overall height of this G probably should be around maybe 10 inches or so. And now all I'm going to do is create a straight line with my pen tool right here going across. I'm going to select that line, hit I on my keyboard, and that'll bring up the eyedropper, and I'm going to click on this stroke right here, and it's going to match that exact same stroke. And then I'll move that down by 1 inch or so. All right, so let's type the name of the song, which is Goodbye. I'm going to align it to the left here, and I think I'll add the artist over here as well, the Sundays. And we'll bring this down to about 30 points or so. And now I'm going to align this to the right of that bar. And then the last thing that we need to do is we need to create a box that contains all of the lyrics. So I'm going to make this the same width right here, and I'm going to bring this all the way down to here. And just like we had 2 inches up here at the top, I'm going to have 2 inches at the bottom as well. So we're going to move it up by 2 inches, and then we'll kind of bring this up right here. Just use your best judgment on spacing, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to align this to the very bottom of the baseline of the word goodbye, and then just subtract by 1/2 inch right here. So that is going to be the container that contains all of our lyrics. All right, so I went and found the lyrics to this song, and if you're not using Sublime Text Editor, it has a really cool tool that's very valuable for what we're about to do. So when I grab the lyrics from Google, everything is on its own line right here. Well, that's not what we want. What we want to do is we want to find and replace, and we're going to do that by doing Shift Command F in Sublime Text. And what we're going to do is find every new line, and we're going to replace it with a comma and a space. So let's go ahead and hit replace, and it's going to ask us to confirm, hit replace again. And now we have everything as one line. So it's going to make it very easy to copy and paste inside of that shape. So select all and copy. We're going to go over here to Illustrator. I'm going to hold down my type tool, and we're going to go to area type tool and click up here at the top left. And we're just going to paste that in. And I'm going to quickly change this over to yellow so we can actually see. And this next part right here is personal preference, but I really like justify all lines except for the last line. So we're going to move this down to about maybe 19 or so. And I am going to take out this comma and just put a period right there. And also this next step is a really small thing, but it's a cool feature that Illustrator has. So what we're going to do is select this text box right here, go over here to the alignment, and just align it to the bottom. So that way that margin that we set earlier of 2 inches at the bottom is perfect. All right, so if you line these up side by side, you can see that the overall structure of everything we have is there. There's just a couple of things that we have to do first. So the first thing I'm gonna do is select everything, and I'm just gonna do create outlines. So the next thing I'm gonna do is select these two strokes right here, go over here to object, expand, make sure that fill and stroke are both selected, hit OK. So now everything has a fill on it and there's no stroke anywhere. Now we can select everything, go into our Pathfinder, and click on minus front. So as you can see, it takes away everything that's yellow. So if we move this over here, then everything right here is just black, and we can actually change this to white or whatever color that you want to use. and then we're going to copy it directly into Photoshop. Just in case we decide to add any effects to this, I'm going to make sure that I don't do 100% white, but maybe something around 90% white. And I'll show you how that affects things in Photoshop here in a minute. So we're going to select everything here, hit copy. All right, so now we're here in Photoshop, and I found this interesting image right here. It's kind of like simulating a hand waving. If you look at the imagery that the Sundays use in all of their albums, this could easily have been included. So now I'm just going to hit paste and make sure that I paste as a smart object in case I want to go back in and edit anything. So now all of those negative spaces right there are actually showing that image through, including the area where we have all of our lyrics. So now there's just really one more thing that I want to do, and that's to add a Gaussian blur, because I want this to kind of look aged a little bit. So let's zoom in right here. So if you want to do something like this, like typically when you have larger elements like this, you want to do something like a 5. The problem is that this is all affecting one shape, and we have all of this small type at the bottom. So I would say between a 2 or a 3, just to make sure that that text stays legible. And just like I said earlier, I added a grain layer on the top of this, and in preparation for that, I made sure that the artwork itself wasn't 100% white, because I'll show you what happens when you make it 100% white. So if you do that, then you can see all of the grain goes away. So just keep that in mind whenever you're putting stuff like this together. All right, well, there is our Goodbye by the Sundays poster. I think that's really cool, and it was directly inspired by the poster I found on Pinterest. All right, well, that was fun. I really enjoyed recreating that poster there. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe, and click the bell for notifications to be notified of all future videos. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.